Hi, this is Elliot Haspel and welcome to another edition of Best Practices Weekly. Today we're going to be talking about the most effective uses of independent reading time. And this comes from an article in the Journal of Educational Psychology in which two university professors and two elementary school staff members talk about analyzing different things that students can do during their independent reading time that comes at the end of a reading block, and how some strategies are actually far more effective for building students' both reading comprehension and vocabulary than other strategies. And so I'm going to go over what are we talking about in terms of this reading block split, and then what did this study find. And so, starting out with a reading block is that this is a study done when you have a 70-minute whole class reading block, and so this would be using your basal anthology, following your curriculum, a fairly standard reading lesson. And then having 20 minutes after that of independent reading time. And this is used in a lot of different ways by many different teachers. And so this study was done on 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th grade students across a variety of schools, really trying to answer the question, what should we do during those 20 minutes that's going to really build students' skill? And the researchers looked at a bunch of different conditions, a bunch of different strategies, and they were traditional, so that's just students go off and read the basal anthology for 20 minutes on their own. They reread what they had read before. Workbook pages, so students are given a workbook that has short passages and then some practice questions with it. Situated reading practice, what that means is that students are asked to go off and with their independent reading books, practice the skill that they practiced during the whole class lesson. Something called, and this is sort of a very researchy term, so I'll translate, individualized schema-based learning. It really just means one-on-one individualized work with a teacher. And so what this means is the teacher is circulating through the class and he or she is having one-on-one mini conferences with students and very much targeting that to where that particular student's at. And so usually a three-step process here of praising the student for wherever they're at and then providing a quick little reteach. Probably a think aloud, oh, well, when I think about how to do this skill, this is what I think when I read this passage. Or have you thought about this? So doing a quick little reteach snippet in the middle and then saying, I'll be back in a minute. And then returning to that student to check on if they're applying the skill or if they need yet another scaffolded intervention. Something called conceptual learning, which in this particular context means that students are actually being asked to really read two back-to-back books of the same nonfiction topic, and by doing that they're being asked to really dive into the concept of what's going on with those two books, being able to compare and contrast, being able to think about really high-level expository text questions by reading two books about the exact same nonfiction topic back-to-back. And so conceptual learning, which has a lot of different meanings in education, of course, in this particular context, it refers to reading two expository texts back to back. And then something called transactional interaction. What that means is that students are reading a teacher-provided book about a topic that the class is studying, so a thematic unit. So this could be about something the class is studying in science or in social studies, but it's something that they sort of is background knowledge about, and then the student is reading that book, and then there's 5 minutes at the end of this 20-minute period in which students are coming together as a class to discuss what was going on in that book. So I know some of the terms they use in these articles can be kind of jargony, so that's sort of the translation of what they mean in this particular context. What was interesting is that when they did this study, they found that 3 of these strategies were far more effective than the other set of strategies. And by far more effective, I mean that, for example, in vocabulary, if you had a representative student who would normally land in the 50th percentile if they had just done a very traditional sense of doing the basal reader in this 20 minutes, over the course of a year, using one of the 3 strategies that are highly effective, that student will land in the 69th percentile instead in vocabulary. And these are results that were being seen as early as 6 weeks into these different types of interventions. So it was very, very significant effects on student achievement. And so the 3 that are highly effective is this individualized schema-based learning, this idea of the teacher circulating through the room, having one-on-one mini conferences, providing targeted, scaffolded help to students as they're doing their independent reading. This conceptual learning of students reading back-to-back expository text and using that to really activate their higher order thinking skills. And then transactional interaction, that idea of reading a teacher-chosen book that was about a thematic unit that the class is doing, and then coming together in the last 5 minutes to practice. And an important point about the conceptual learning too is that the students are choosing the books to read back to back, so it's not teacher provided in that particular situation. And what the authors conclude here is that it's truly the teacher actions during student independent reading that determines the bulk of student comprehension gains. So just sending students off to read, which is the case in the traditional situation, even in the situated reading situation of having students go off to independently read and just apply what they had learned in the first part of the reading block, does not show very many effects, nor do the workbook pages. It seems that there's simply the teacher actions are not deliberate enough in those situations to help scaffold, to help build students' skills. So the authors conclude that teachers need to seriously reevaluate and think about the way that they're using the 20 minutes or the independent reading minutes in their reading block, because it's possible that there's a major missed opportunity for significant student growth, and that these are 3 strategies, which again I would encourage you to look up more about, that all have very, very significant effects and positive effects on student learning. Thanks for watching and happy teaching!